Let's take a look at the finished example first. And if you just want to clone this to follow along instead of coding it all yourself, the link for this will be in the description, so you can just clone it to your own WaveScript account. But taking a look at this very briefly, what we're doing is we're getting an alert from Datadog to let us know that there's some type of problem. Then, using that alert, what we do is go and query an API that has all of our issues on it. Internally, we use Rollbar for this, but you can use whatever API and service you want. Once we have those issues, we're creating some logic that says if we have a certain number of new issues created, then we'll send ourselves a text message to let us know that we have new issues after a deployment. And here's the cool part. Once we get this text message, we're able to just send a text message to WaveScript to trigger a function to automatically rebuild using our CI/CD tool, which in this case is Circle CI. But you can use an API just like how we did in this step. Let's talk through this now. Alright, so let's get started doing this. Our first step, we already saw, was that Datadog trigger. The idea behind this is that we'll get some notification to let us know that something isn't right on our platform. We'll turn this on and we'll make sure that we have this output webhook data on too, which gives us this event. Once we have that event set up, I'll go over to my application, which is monitored by Datadog, and I'll create an event that should trigger a monitor and therefore fire this Datadog trigger. We'll give it a few seconds to load, and then the variable of event should pop up down here in the bottom right. After a few seconds, we see that it does. We can open it up by clicking this arrow, and then we have all the information that we need here. The idea is that we probably receive many Datadog alerts to let us know that we have different sorts of problems on our application. So, in this case, we only want to do certain actions when certain events happen, and we can do that with built-in logic on WaveScript using an if statement. We'll do something, because my title here in this event is something big happened. So I want this to fire whenever I get this specific event. So we'll say in this if statement, if something in, and I can just interact with these variables in this variables panel just by pulling in the pill. So I'm accessing the title key of this event dictionary and pulling it into this if statement. So now we have our conditional set up, and this can be many conditions or just one. So I'll go ahead and just leave it as just one. So whenever we get this certain event, then we'll proceed down the true side of this if statement. Here we can use a Python step. I'll go ahead and either click code here or just hit T on my keyboard for a hotkey. Cool. So now we need a little bit of Python code, and all of this code is over on GitHub. So I'll just go and grab that, and the link for this will be in the description too. I have this code. I will paste it in, and we can go through it. So what we see is that we're importing the libraries that we need, requests and pandas, and then we're sending a GET request to Rollbar API to get active items. Then with those active items, we're creating a data frame that includes the ID in the title. Then we're writing that to previous.xlsx. If you don't have that, we might need a try statement here. We'll bump all of these over, and then we'll do an except and bump this one over. That way, if we don't have this previous.xlsx file already in, we can go ahead and create it. And then for the next run, we can try to see if there is a previous, and we'll do a comparison to count the number of new issues between the previous.xlsx file and your current GET request. And we also see that we have this authentication header up here that we need to take care of. We'll go ahead and get rid of this pill, and what we'll need to do is put in a secret value into WaveScript. And we can do that by using this .secrets file over here to the left. We'll click on it, and I will create a new secret. We should have access to this inside the WaveScript editor, and we can use it just like any other variable that we create. We find it up here in this environment tab, and we can pull it and drop it in to our authentication header just like that. So now we're authenticating, and we're passing that header with this GET request and getting back the items. Let's go ahead and run this. We see that previous.xlsx was built, and this should have all the items on it. So the next time we run, we'll compare the items in the spreadsheet to the new items that we get. And if we have more new items than the previous one, then we might want to send ourselves a notification. We can do that by saying something like if, and then in this if statement, we created that new issues count in that previous Python step. We'll say something like if new issues count is above some threshold. In this case, we'll just say 5, but you can put this as whatever you want. Then we'll send ourselves a Twilio notification. You'll have to connect your Twilio account, but there is a free trial if you want to use it. And I will paste in my Twilio phone number to this blank, actually. And then I'll paste in my phone number here, but I won't do it on camera. And I'll show you the text message that we get. Okay, great. So we have our first function set up. And now let's go ahead and create another function by clicking Add Function in the top right corner. This will be a text message trigger. So we'll import that and we'll turn this on. Then we'll turn on this text message. We'll say something like a conditional. So an if statement, if yes in our text message. So we'll drag this and drop it in here. So if we respond yes to this number, then let's go ahead and create a Circle CI job and then approve the job. We'll trigger a pipeline and then we can put in the branch and this information. Finally, we can pull in another Circle CI module and then approve the job. This pipeline is very specific to Circle CI, so I won't dive too much into it, but all the configuration happens there. If you're using a different service and you need to access their API, what you may consider doing instead is doing another Python or JavaScript step where you're querying that API and maybe putting a post request. In essence, this job can be whatever you want it to be as long as your API has access to those services. If you want us to dive specifically into some service in the future, please let us know. I just wanted to cover the very basics on how you could start setting up jobs based on issues in Datadog. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please let us know and we'll help you out. Until next time.